The Baltimore Ravens and Eric DeCosta pulled off highway robbery yesterday with trading for wide receiver Diontae Johnson. We're going to break down that trade and what it means for the Baltimore Ravens going forward on today's show. Welcome in. I'm Joey Petersen. I'm the host of Ravens Rundown. And guys, we have had a historic October, truly. 2,451 subs added, and we're only 49 subs away from rounding that out to a perfect 2,500. We got 2 more days left in October, so I need your help, and if you haven't already, please hit that sub button. So on today's episode, we are taking a deep dive into Deionte Johnson, the player, and how he helps this Baltimore Ravens team going forward. And I'm so excited. You know, the news broke yesterday. I was pumped about it. I made an instant reaction video, and those are just kind of like thoughts straight off the top. And now that I've had almost 24 hours to sit, digest, research, I've got a lot more thoughts, a lot more things I think we need to discuss. So let's get into it. But before we do that, man, look at that. Look at him in that Ravens jersey next to our man 8. He's looking good. I'm excited about it, and hopefully we'll get to see him play on Sunday, you know. And I want to preface something before we get into this because I know what the comment section is going to look like, okay? I know this is not the only thing that Baltimore needs, okay? I'm not ignorant enough to think that this team's fixed just because you added Diontae Johnson. I know this team needs a lot of help in the secondary. In fact, probably going to talk about that later in this week. So I just want to get that out of the way, get ahead of it, because I know what the comment section is going to look like. We didn't need wide receiver. We need edge rusher. We need secondary. I get it. We do need all those things, but I don't think they're done. But made a trade yesterday, so let's talk about it. Here's what the trade looked like, okay? Ravens received Diontae Johnson and a 2025 sixth-round pick. The Panthers, in return, received a 2025 fifth-round pick. Now, some interesting things came out with the trade. And did you know that if Johnson signs a $5 million contract anywhere else after this year, after 2024, and you kind of got to think he will, with given the wide receiver market at current, the Ravens will also additionally get a 6th-round pick in 2026. So, realistically, here's kind of what the updated trade looks like if you add that in. So, the Ravens got Diontae Johnson. They got a 2025 6th-round pick and a 2026 6th-round pick, and all they had to do was give up a 2025 5th-round pick. So, what Eric DeCosta did was he took a 5th-round pick in this next year's draft that, with given how the Ravens are going to play and given how their season was last year and how it started so far, it's probably going to be a late-round pick anyway. Right now, it's supposed to be number 158, okay? So pick 158. And he flipped it for another offensive weapon that is something totally different than this offense already has, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. And then also 2 6th-round picks. And one of them right now, one of them's the 2025 one, supposed to be a number 177 pick. So the 177th pick in the draft. So he just moved down 19 spots. That's it. And you get a former Pro Bowl wide receiver and 2 6th-rounders for it. Like, a lot of people would just trade 1 5th-round pick for 2 6th-rounders in general. And then you just add in Diontae Johnson. Like, guys, I don't think we're talking enough about what Eric DeCosta did with this move and how this move will benefit Baltimore going forward. And not to mention, you just added a guy who's something totally different than you've got on the offensive side of the football, okay? So now that you know this, now that we've discussed this, I asked this yesterday, I'm going to ask it again today with some new light on it. I want you to grade the trade, okay? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video, and so you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. When that happens, I want you to scroll down the comment section, find this, and reply for me with an A, B, C, D, or F. Alrighty, now coming up, I'm going to go into why Johnson fits in with Baltimore, with this offense, and kind of the new wrinkle he might bring to the Ravens, okay? But before we do that, if you want the chance to see him on Sunday, be in M&T Bank Stadium as they take on the Denver Broncos, I suggest you use our friends over at Game Time. They are the sponsor of today's video. And if you're so excited, the season's in full swing and want to get tickets to the big game lockdown, promise you're going to want to give Game Time a shot. Game Time has a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks, and it makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. The tool highlights the best deals, including great and amazing deals, which are the highest value seats at the time. For some events, Game Time Picks also identifies a super deal, which is the best seat value in the venue. Guys, I've been known throughout my life to like to save some money, okay? Some people call me cheap. I like to call myself frugal. And that is exactly why I use Game Time. You get the lowest price guaranteed, and they do these things called flash deals. We're right up to game time. The closer it gets to kickoff, the ticket prices actually go down. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. All right, let's get into a little bit more on the man himself, Diontae Johnson. Here's my scouting report. Pros, he's great against man coverage. He's shifty. What I noticed in his film is he catches with his hands. And you might be listening to me and say, yeah, no shit, he's a wide receiver. They catch with their hands. But not all of them do, right? You see a lot of wide receivers try to catch with the body. I noticed he's a guy who's got strong hands, attacks the ball with his hands, and I love that. He can change speed easily, right? So he can go from full speed to stop on a route on a comeback just on a dime. Now, he's got a couple cons as well. His size. He's not the tallest wide receiver in the world, and this is already a wide receiver room that doesn't necessarily have the biggest guys. He's only 5'10". Okay, he has struggled with drops in the past, which is kind of unfortunate given the wide receiver performances we got on Sunday, right? And so that's going to be looked to clean up. And sometimes his body language and his attitude can be a little bit of a problem. It was in Pittsburgh, kind of has been already in Carolina, so that's another thing to monitor. My take, I think he's a great fit in this offense, right? I think that he's going to be a perfect fit in this offense. And when you look at what he's been able to do the last 4 years, right, it's not like any of those things don't jump off the page, but they don't jump off the page the same way as kind of a top 5 wide receiver would, right? This year, 30 receptions, 357 yards, 11.9 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns. 2023, 51 receptions, 717 yards, 14.1 average, 5 touchdowns. 2 years before that, 882 yards, 1,161 yards, 8 touchdowns in 2 of those years. Okay, and so, again, it's not like they're crazy stats, but I think we need to take into account who's been throwing him the football. Okay, because I've seen a lot of complaints on social media, a lot of complaints in the comment section that this guy's just a mid-wide receiver, right? He's put up mid numbers. But that's what goes wrong when you just look at the stat sheet, okay? You're going to think he's not a top 10, top 15, top 20 wide receiver if you just look at the stats. But you got to think about who's throwing him the football. And it's been horrendous in his past 3 years, okay? Andy Dalton, 37-year-old Andy Dalton, might I add. Bryce Young, who's now looking as maybe one of the biggest busts in NFL history. Kenny Pickett, need I say more? Mason Rudolph, he's now with the Tennessee Titans. He's been so bad he's backing up Will Levis. And then Mitch Trubisky. Need I say more again? Okay, so he has not had good wide receivers throwing the ball. But when he has had a good wide receiver throwing the ball, the name of a future, as much as it pains me to say, a future Hall of Famer in Ben Roethlisberger, he's been phenomenal, okay? 2021, 101 receptions, 1,161 yards, 8 touchdowns. 2020, 88 receptions, 923 yards, 7 touchdowns. So when he had a good quarterback, giving him the football, tossing him the pill, he's been able to do things with it, okay? He's proved that with a competent quarterback, he can be a team's leading wide receiver. He can be a team's wide receiver 1, okay? So I love that fact, and I just love that with the new strength he brings something new to this offense, okay? And it's his ability to catch the ball on the outside, to stretch the field, to be on the perimeter, to catch the ball outside the numbers. Because right now, Baltimore ranks 30th in the NFL of catches outside the numbers with 29 in 2024. And Johnson, since he came into the NFL in 2019, he is 6th in wide receivers in catches outside the numbers with 242. That's since 2019, okay? So he offers something new. He's not just people look at his size, they look at his speed, and they assume he's just going to be like a Danny Amendola, a Wes Welker, and sorry, I'm only thinking Patriots wide receivers, but one of those just small slot wide receivers that runs a lot of slants and does a lot of things in the middle of the field. That's not him, okay? He has the ability to do that, but that's not his bread and butter. So if you are excited to see Diontae Johnson in purple and gold and white this upcoming Sunday, I need you to do one thing for me, and that's go down there, find that thumbs up button, and click it for me. Okay, I do have a worry though, okay, because it's not all just roses and flowers and sunshine and rainbows. My only worry is he going to be a guy that's okay with having low targets every once in a while, okay? Because if you look at this year, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and Isaiah Likely, and also Mark Andrews, they've all had games with less than 2 targets. Okay, they've all had a game this year with less than 2 targets. Because that's just what happens when you have Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in your backfield. You tend to run the football. And this team has ran 11 personnel 28.1% of the time. That is last in the NFL. Dead last, 32nd. And if you don't know what 11 personnel is, it's when there's 1 tight end, 1 running back, and 3 wide receivers, okay? And that's just because they haven't had the horses to do that. They now haven't necessarily had the wide receivers that they want to say, okay, let's go 3 wide receivers deep in this one, right? And so now that you have Diontae Johnson, I think that's going to change, okay? Because look at these key offensive pieces that you got. You got Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Johnson, Flowers, Bateman, Likely, Mark Andrews, Justice Hill, and you're about to also get Keaton Mitchell back, hopefully, in the next couple weeks. And if you look at Open Scores rankings, the Ravens now have 2 tight ends that rank in the top 14 and 3 wide receivers that rank in the top 31. This offense just got a little bit more lethal, okay? And I think we got to go back to the basics of it. It didn't cost you a lot, right? Because if you just made this move and you offered like a 3rd or 4th round pick and you just got the wide receiver, then I could see the complaints. I don't get why there's anybody in the world that's complaining about getting a guy like Diontae Johnson and a 6th round pick for just a 5th rounder, okay? So you saw those pieces, you saw the rankings. Now I got a question for you. Is this the best offense in the National Football League? If you think it is, give me a Y down below. And if you don't think so, give me an N. And also, tell me why. The best part about it is, guys, I don't think they're done. Okay, I mentioned it a little bit at the top of the show, but I don't think they're done. I think that with this move, Eric DeCosta, John Harbaugh, they realized that this team is lacking the wide receiver position. They saw a guy that they could go out and get right now. And I think this front office, this organization, they notice how lackluster and how plain awful this secondary has been. I don't think they're just going to sit on their hands. I don't. So I expect something to be done maybe today, and if not, I think early next week because the trade deadline's Tuesday. So you got to do it at least by 4 p.m. Eastern time next Tuesday. I don't think this team's done. I think they realize they're in their Super Bowl window right now. They added on the offensive side of the ball, and I think they're going to add on the defensive side of the ball as well. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. I'm really excited about this trade, if you can't tell. And I hope after today's episode, you got just a little bit more excited about it as well. Thank you so much for watching Ravens Rundown. Again, we're trying to get to 2.5K subs added in just the month of October. So if you haven't already and you're still here, go ahead and hit that sub button.